Commander, I wish I could say I had good news, but not all of our battles fared as well as yours. The Greek front is collapsing, and Germany is all but taken. However, not all is lost. Your efforts have hampered Soviet progress in this area. The bridges you destroyed have caused the Soviets to redirect their forces through a certain mountain pass that I believe you are familiar with. They are gambling that you will not be able to stop them a second time. Prove them wrong. Stavros.
Expect a heavy concentration of Soviet armor. The base you established is still standing. Get it up to speed as quickly as possible. We're counting on you to keep the Reds from breaking through.
Hello, this is Dr. J, back with some more Let's Play Command & Conquer Red Alert. So, this is Allies Mission 4, which famously preserves exactly the base and units that you created in Mission 2. It doesn't just make a guess as to what your base looked like. This is literally the base I built. Interestingly, it does not preserve the orientation of your units, however, because my Rangers definitely weren't all pointing northward. So the fact that the mission perfectly preserves the base you created is why I went to the trouble to produce much more of a base than I required for Mission 2. And I really like this mechanic. I think it's incredibly cool how we are on the same map, except it's expanded. There is more terrain to the north that we didn't see in the original version of the mission. And that it actually remembers what your base looked like. I'm a big fan of it when games do stuff like this. Alright, well, we can already build light tanks. This is another example of Red Alert moving much faster than Command & Conquer, where it wasn't until, for example, GDI Mission 7 that you're able to build tanks in the GDI campaign. But it's only Mission 4 in the Allied campaign here in Red Alert, and already we're making tanks. This mission is definitely a step up in difficulty. We have a more substantial Soviet base that we're going to have to attack, and the enemy is quite a bit more aggressive in this mission than they were in Mission 2. So this is kind of, you could say, the first of the real base building missions. I don't exactly count Mission 2. I mean, yeah, it's a base versus base mission, but only in the most technical sense. It's extremely easy. But this one, there's actually some challenge involved. Alright, we might have to eat some... Nope, we can put the refinery there, but I'd rather have a little more space. So I'm going to have my ore truck eat those 2 pieces of ore so we can put it down like that. And also we can now build turrets, which we might want to do because the enemy is going to attack us with tanks. So in terms of the plot, things are not going well for the Allies right now. We seem to be basically the only commander who's winning battles. The German and Greek fronts are both collapsing. That's actually going to become very relevant. We're going to see for the next several missions in the OG campaign briefings that General Stavros, who is from Greece, that is his homeland, is going to be pretty depressed about how things have gone, because Greece will have been basically obliterated by the Soviets. And that's actually going to become a plot point to some extent. It certainly comes up in the ending to the Allied campaign. It also matters because it is going to be relevant to our first narrative shift over to some expansion missions. The Counterstrike little sub-campaign Fall of Greece explicitly chronicles, as the name would kind of imply, the Soviets' takeover and destruction of Greece. And so that obviously takes place between this mission and the following mission, which means after this mission, we're going to take a little sidetrack to those 3 Counter-Strike missions, the little Fall of Greece sub-campaign. So that's going to be pretty cool. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to complete this mission first. So far, the enemy has not been as aggressive as I kind of expected they were going to be.
Unit ready.
I was also expecting them to be hitting us with airplanes, Yak attack planes, which they don't seem to be doing. At this rate, we're going to be able to launch a strike force before they... Ah, here we go. Finally, some air units. They tried to do a paradrop, but we shot down their plane when it had only dropped off a single guy, so that's not going to be much of a threat. I think we might already have enough of a force so we can launch an attack.
Reporting. Yes, sir? Yes, sir.
I'm going to leave the infantry behind for defense. Infantry are typically better on defense than attack, because they're very, very fragile, and the Soviets have a ridiculous amount of flame weaponry, which just incinerates infantry like there's no tomorrow. So attacking with them often just ends in mass casualties. However, they do tend to be more useful on defense, so they will be our defensive force. Oh, we have a mine layer here. Mine layers are actually quite good, at least on the Allied side, because they put down anti-vehicle mines, which are very powerful. If the enemy drives over them, they do tons of damage to enemy vehicles. But it requires an insane amount of micro to use mine layers, because you have to explicitly lay every single mine, which is pretty annoying to deal with. So I'm only going to use mine layers in missions where you pretty much absolutely have to do so. Okay, we may lose that ore truck. Oh, not if the enemy is going to redirect their attacks to the guys we sent to protect the ore truck. Oh, nope, they're attacking it again. Alright, we lost it, so I'm going to make a replacement. Alright, so the enemy did finally start to get aggressive, but now it's time to launch our own attack. Okay, this is quite irritating. Maybe you should harvest up here. And maybe the Rangers shouldn't lead the assault against the enemy tanks. That's not likely to not end well. The pathing is causing me issues here. Okay, turret should be able to take care of that. So the mission is demonstrating that the difficulty has gone up a notch. The enemy attacks and defense are quite a bit more robust, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and start using some micro. So this is known as Q move. If you attack something, hold down Q and then click. Your units will move while simultaneously continuing to fire. It's incredibly useful. You will take way, way less damage if you make use of Q move, because the enemy is not good at tracking moving targets. So this is especially good for the Allied army because their units are so much faster. So Q moving, you can really have your units take a lot less damage. Okay, it can be difficult if there's enemies everywhere because you try to Q move, but you just end up targeting enemies instead. That said, we have destroyed their construction yards, so now they're not going to be able to rebuild anything. Apparently our base is under attack, but it's nothing too threatening. Okay, we got their war factory, so no more enemy tanks. Now we just get their barracks, and their production is completely shut down. Q-move is undocumented. You will not find it anywhere in the Red Alert manual, but it is extremely useful to know. If you played any Red Alert multiplayer back in the day, knowing how to Q-move was essentially mandatory to be able to play competitively. Otherwise, if you don't know how to Q-move and your opponent does, then your enemy will just eat you for lunch. Because your units will perform very, very poorly if the enemy is Q-moving and you aren't. That little guy is extremely irritating. Despite what I said earlier about how worthless Rangers are, I might actually make some Rangers just so I can very quickly hunt down enemy infantry. Oh, we have a couple right here. Get down there, guys. And then we will send in our tanks to finish off the enemy base, make quick work of that. Thought I heard a man die. That was probably the infantry that I sent my guys to kill. Yeah. The Rangers are derping out, but I think the first one that I sent to kill him did the job. Alright, let's go finish off the enemy base, and it's good game to us. can see how Red Alert is much faster paced compared to Command & Conquer.
Yes, sir.
Can really get through the missions quickly. Especially these early ones, of course.
Yes,
They will
sir.
get more challenging as we go.
Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
But the tanks just move so fast that
Yes, sir.
they traverse the map very quickly, and they're incredibly good at crushing infantry to an extent that they really aren't in Command & Conquer.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Which, as I said, it just makes tanks even more overpowered, and they were already overpowered in CNC, so it's pretty unbalanced. Tanks are far and away the best unit in the game. There's no contest, really.
Waiting order. Knowledge.
Which in some ways is a little unfortunate, because it means in most base building missions, just building up a huge tank army and doing a tank rush is going to be by far the best tactic the vast majority of the time. So it's unfortunate that there's not more variety in viable approaches to defeating your enemy.
Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
But it is what it is.
Yes, sir. Waiting order. Acknowledge.
In my Red Alert Alternative mod, aha, now that we destroyed their refinery and all their production structures, they have sold off and are going to attack us, which is very good. I'm glad that the AI is better about being a gentleman and admitting that it has lost level in this game.
Mission saved.
Oops, that's not a scum save. I'm going to do save it under allies. There we go.
Yes, sir. Knowledge. Yes, sir. Reporting. Yes, sir. Knowledge.
So we have won. Good game to us.
Mission accomplished.
Soviet attempt to retake this pass has been thwarted. That would make for an awfully short video, considering it's, what, 12 minutes if I just called it there. So, instead, we're going to go ahead and start on the first mission of our little side jaunt into the Counter-Strike sub-campaign Fall of Greece. So, I'll see you there in just a moment. Hello again. Time to embark on our first side story. This is narratively the 100% appropriate point to switch over to Fall of Greece, which just has two missions, Personal War and Evacuation. We'll see if we have time to do them both, but we'll certainly have time to do Personal War. No video briefings for these. Red Alert Retaliation, which was the PlayStation port of Red Alert, interestingly what that did is, instead of having the original campaign, it packaged up all the expansion missions, Counterstrike and Aftermath, and added video briefings for them, which were not in the original expansions. And that's really cool. However, I think that the way they divided up the missions for Retaliation actually didn't make much sense, and that the divisions, at least in the case of these Allied campaigns, made a whole lot more sense in the original. So we're going to be going with that. And because we're not playing the PlayStation port and we're not playing the remaster, we don't get those cool extra video briefings, but that's fine because we're not really following Retaliation's story anyway. So we're just stuck with text briefings for these. So it says, with the fighting fast approaching Athens, Stavros has insisted that he be allowed to survey the damage in his own hometown in Greece. You must escort Stavros through the town to a nearby friendly outpost. Once you reach it, evacuate Stavros to safety. If anything should happen, get Stavros to safety any way possible. He must be kept alive. Here is a green AI-controlled ally. And we've got Tanya escorting Stavros for this mission. Stavros himself is actually no slouch at fighting either. He's not at Tanya's level, but he is much better than a standard infantryman. Alright, we are probably going to want to lure these guys here and then destroy them like so. Stavros apparently has a sniper rifle, which is a Hollywood silencer on it. Real-life silencers, aka suppressors, do not make guns go pew, even though Hollywood has convinced everybody that's what they do. So yeah, with the Greek front collapsing, Stavros has insisted that he be allowed to go check out what's happening in his home country. Okay, we are probably going to want to stay away from that mammoth tank. We do not want to attract its attention. Okay, Stavros is dead and we failed immediately. Take 2. And as much as I love Bigfoot, let's listen to something different. I wonder if we still have that weird bug where it does not play the track that I selected. Okay, we absolutely still have that bug in play. What in the actual heck is up with this bug? It really wants to play Bigfoot for some reason.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Okay, I think I see what I did wrong. There was a little side passage we could take so that we would avoid the mammoth tank. And we definitely should have been doing that. Because this is one of the expansion missions, it is harder than ordinarily we would be at this point in the campaign if we were just sticking with the OG missions. So, by doing these narrative switches, the difficulty curve is going to be kind of weird. But I figure there's already a whole lot of playthroughs of this game, so interleaving the missions in a way that narratively makes sense, I think is going to be a way to distinguish this playthrough from the many other playthroughs of the game out here. Alright, so this civilian, who I should have been paying attention to before, is showing us this side passage that we can use to avoid this mammoth tank and other Soviet forces, which can ruin our day. We can see that the Soviets are complete jerkwads and are just destroying these civilians left and right, as Soviets do. And they're now evacuating to the Allied base here in the north. I think that's probably a heal crate. Now this is a little bit of a plot hole, the fact that the Soviets have MiGs. They in fact shouldn't have MiGs yet. But despite that little plot hole, this very explicitly is where this mission is supposed to take place. There's no question about that. And the Soviets also shouldn't have A-bombs yet, but don't worry about that. We'll just say those are big air fuel bombs or something, which makes more sense. Okay, now we're getting some reinforcements, which are going to be desperately needed as the enemy is pursuing us with forces that Stavros and Tanya cannot possibly defeat. Okay, good. All of our tanks got out. I'm actually going to slow things down to a more manageable speed, and I'm going to make a scum save here. Now, this is where this mission gets incredibly difficult. Honestly, probably harder than anything in the main campaign. Because the enemy is going to pursue us with some very serious forces. Probably more than we can handle with our meager group of 2 commandos and 5 medium tanks. If we do good micro, employ Q moving and so on, we will be able to punch above our weight class, but we're unlikely to be able to handle everything the enemy is throwing at us. Though I'm tempted to try it, to get them off our tail, because having to be constantly on the run from them is going to make things extremely difficult. Okay, so we've already lost 1 tank. Alright, but we did defeat the pursuing mammoths. And honestly, I think I'm going to go try to get the other pursuers. I'm not sure if you're intended to be able to do this, but the mission's just unbelievably difficult if you're trying to complete it while these guys are chasing you. So I'm going to attempt to destroy them. I think with Q moving, we should be able to pull it off. Okay, let's get the V2 next. Bring in our commandos to help deal with the infantry. Okay. Now that the pursuers are dealt with, we can handle the challenges in front of us, which are going to be substantial, in a more coordinated manner and not be frantically running for our lives the whole time. There's the evac point, by the way. You can see the Chinook in the middle of this very cool-looking formation of 4 signal flares. Honestly, I can probably speed things up again a little bit. Alright, we're going to all gather here. Use this as a staging area. Stavros is so slow. Now, we'll blast our way past this mammoth tank on the left. We should be able to ignore the one on the right.
Of course. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there's going to be a forest to the south where there's a whole lot of enemy infantry hiding behind trees. And also the enemy just did a paradrop here. Alright, now let's send our commando team forward to take care of the enemies hiding behind the trees. As long as we're out of range of the A-bomb, we don't need to worry about it. Okay, now we come to a mud bridge, and we're going to want to cross it with some pace. First, wait for this plane to drop some infantry in front of the Tesla coil so that they'll take the hits. Now we want to detonate these fuel drums as fast as we can, which will bring the Tesla coil offline. Okay, there we go. Oh boy, here comes a V2 rocket, which could end our mission immediately, so let's take care of that. Alright, got one of our tanks, which is better than it getting Stavros or Tanya. Speaking of whom, they're under attack from the front. Okay, Tanya's very hurt now. Guys, fight back, fight back. This is important. Q move, I'm not kidding. Okay, that didn't go very well at all, but we'll press on, do what we can. Now, if we come to, or if we follow this bridge, we come to a bridge, which has a couple of mammoth tanks crossing it, so we can't go that way. But if we detonate the fuel drums, we blow up the mammoth tanks. That's good. Okay, that sneaky dog tried to put a quick end to our mission. I generally don't like the way dogs are used in a lot of the missions as just screw you game over devices. Now things seem grim, but there should be an enemy truck coming down this way. And if we detonate the fuel drums, we can get a full heal out of it, which is excellent. Okay, so now, because we blew that bridge, we can't go that way, so we're going to have to cross this mud bridge to the rear of the enemy base. Now, that looks like more than we can handle, but we get another pack of tanks. Alright, and then okay. Bring these tanks in to assist. Get Stavros and Tanya out of the line of fire. Do some Q moving with our new tank squad. Take out these flame turrets. Alright, and now start moving Stavros to the evac point. And I think we should be good now, but let's go ahead and keep these tank escorts close by. Just in case.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged. Very well.
Alright, let's get Stavros into that helicopter. Tanya too. I think we only have to evac Stavros, but just for role-playing purposes. Alright, Stavros is evac'd.
Mission accomplished.
And yeah, clearly Greece is pretty screwed. Stavros has now witnessed that firsthand. And man, that is a difficult mission. That is definitely a cut above anything in the OG campaign. Okay, well, now that that intense mission is done, this might be a little ambitious, but We're going to see if we can get Fall of Greece 2 evacuation into the same video. This one tells us Soviet forces are moving into rural Athens, threatening the civilian population. Evacuate at least one person from each of the 4 towns to the island in the northeast. The civilians are hiding in the town churches and will only come out when you enter the town. Get in, get them out of the town, and to the island. The civilians are your primary objective here. Removing the Soviet threat is optional. Well, it tells us removing the Soviet threat is optional, but in reality, we pretty much have to wipe out the Soviet base to complete our mission here, as is usually the case in official missions. We don't have a whole lot of money to work with here. Looks like we started with 3,500. That is pretty poor. We're probably going to want to get an economy up and running as fast as possible then. Do some scouting. Oh, more enemies approaching. Just a lone grenadier, so nothing too threatening. Got a refinery building. We're going to try to be economically aggressive and get 2 refineries up right away, so that we can get a decent income going. Now, although in practice, you pretty much have to wipe out the enemy on this map, so in some respects it's a fairly standard base building mission. I do really like the novelty of that not being your primary objective, that instead evacuating the civilians is your primary objective. That's a lot more interesting than just yet another wipe out all enemies on the map kind of setup. I do definitely approve when strategy games have more interesting objectives than just destroy everything. Alright, let's go take care of that so-and-so that blew up our ranger, which was almost destroyed anyways. Yeah, this is why we need an economy. This is pretty sad. Okay, they took care of him. Cannot repair bridges in this game. That functionality was introduced in Tiberian Sun, so there's nothing we can do about that. That way is blocked to us. Okay, that is a little more than you guys can handle. Get out of there. Looks like one of the civilian towns is going to be there. Now, in terms of the game triggers, the scripting, there's the island we have to evacuate people to. We actually only need to evacuate 1 civilian from each town to the island. However, for role-playing purposes, we are going to try to evacuate everybody. Okay, let's pull these guys back while we focus on base building a little bit. Where do I want this one? Maybe over here. It's not quite as close to the ore as I would have liked, but it'll have to do. Next up, we're probably going to want to get up a war factory. I do like how, in this version of the game, you can see a whole lot more things on the sidebar at once. It's very useful. Okay, 1 ranger is almost down, but we did some damage, so... Okay, ranger down. But that enemy attack force was dealt with. There is abundant resources on this map, or I should say are abundant resources. So once we get an economy set up, I'll probably produce an ore truck as the first thing to come out of my war factory. We're not going to be hurting for money, at least.
Construction options. Building.
Looks like another substantial enemy force there. So the enemy is guarding various directions fairly heavily. What lies directly to the south of here? Okay, here's a civilian town. Uh-oh. That might have been a little premature. I would have preferred to have an APC so we can evacuate them a little more safely. But what's done is done, so let's try to get them back to our base. And okay, I'm going to want radar.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
It is much easier to play when you actually have a mini-map, as much as I do like the Allied logo. I think it's elegant. I like how it's simultaneously very geometrical, you know, with the triangle motif, but it also has the, you know, traditional
Yes, sir.
Allied bird of prey look going on. Some kind of eagle with its wings completing the triangle. I think that looks really cool. I quite like it.
Construction options.
Later incarnations of the
Building.
Allied logo go for a much more traditional look, with just an eagle with its wings spread out to either side, which looks fine, but in some ways it's a little less interesting. Okay, so now we're going to start preparing an actual
Building.
mobile attack force. We can't build APCs in this mission, surprisingly enough. Considering that this is an evacuation mission, I would have thought we'd be able to build APCs. It seems a little odd, but whatever.
Unit ready. Building.
We will make do. We're probably going to have to supply the transport ourselves, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that is not a sound I want to hear.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Okay, so the enemy's trying to sneaky drop behind our base.
Ready.
We'll go deal with that. Our speedy tanks should not have too much trouble squishing these guys, I don't think.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Handled.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
Ready and waiting.
Maybe we should keep some guys back here just in case the enemy decides to get cute like that again.
Agreed. Very well.
Now, civilians, being undisciplined, will wander around.
Unit
I want a few pillboxes around my base, too.
building.
Oh, here...
Waiting orders. Yeah.
Oh, no. No. Didn't mean to grab those guys. Forgot that these guys were hotkeyed, too, so whoops. That was mistakes all over the place in terms of my unit control.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Okay, that attack force was easily dealt with.
Affirmative.
Building. Building.
Maybe one pillbox to each entrance to the base. They're only 400 each, so we won't be breaking the bank setting them up. We only have access to sort of our bread and butter units for this mission. Nothing super high tech, which further cements that it's pretty appropriate putting it here in the campaign. Although it's already obvious how appropriate that is from the fact that it fits in perfect storyline wise.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building. Construction
Yes, sir.
complete. Building.
Once we have a substantial enough force, we'll
Ready.
go out on a
Building.
recon and force mission and evacuate as many of these civilian towns as we can. I don't know if we're on some kind of unspoken time limit. We might be.
Building.
We are actually getting money faster than we can spend it, which almost makes me consider building a second war factory.
Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting.
Construction complete.
If we ever hear silos needed, I think we'll do that. Another couple of tanks, and I think we can begin our expedition.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Oops.
Affirmative.
Actually, you know what? This is good enough.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Time for some reconnaissance in force.
Waiting order.
And man, speedy light tanks are just brilliant at the queue moving strategy.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
We'll continue building reinforcements back at base, and we are definitely going to need to build our own naval yard, but we may want to secure the mainland first.
Unit ready.
Guys, try to stay in one place, please, civilians. I say as a civilian in real life.
Yes, sir. Reporting. Acknowledged.
In fact, why don't we go ahead and get started on that, since we have such a good income. I fear the enemy may have submarines, and we might have to secure the water as well, which would be irritating.
Building.
So we will begin building toward the water,
Building.
then start on naval yard.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Okay, I think we're close enough now. There's the naval yard.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's
Affirmative.
continue our recon
Yes, sir.
slash attack,
Acknowledged. Vehicle
reconning and destroying any enemies we encounter.
report acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Alright, this may immediately get attacked by submarines.
Deployed here. Construction options.
Or it may not. That's fortunate.
Affirmative.
Now, what kind of ships do we have access to? We can build destroyers, though I might want to start with a gunboat to scout with.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative.
Okay, we found another enemy checkpoint.
Affirmative. Vehicle
Unit
reporting.
lost.
Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting.
Man, tanks are way too powerful in this game.
Unit
Okay, it's another village evacuated, and we have a
building.
not completely pathetic enemy force coming in, so
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
luckily we have some
Acknowledged.
armor back at our base to deal with that.
Reporting.
Hey, Pillbox, maybe shoot at the thing you're good at killing.
Yes, sir.
We should probably cover the civilians.
Building.
Okay,
Vehicle
handled.
reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's 4 of the civilian villages evacuated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
Unit ready.
Yeah.
now they're all in a control group together.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
1 village to go. And let's start scouting out the water, see what we're up against, see if the enemy has any subs.
Affirmative.
We know we're going to need a transport.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
It is perplexing to me we're not allowed to build APCs in this mission.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
I heard that. That's a sub. There's the final enemy village.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys get back to base.
Yeah.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Let's provide them with some cover. Oh boy, okay, that's an enemy gunship, a Hind.
Waiting orders.
I think it's time to attack the enemy base.
Reporting.
The reason we need to do that is... Oh, okay, let's just sell this for now. I don't feel like dealing with that right now.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
The reason that we need to punch through the enemy base is because that's the only place where we have access to a shoreline. So we're not going to be able to evac the civilians anywhere else along the rocky coast.
Naval unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative.
Okay,
Waiting orders.
let's go. Attack, attack, attack.
Yes, sir. No. Affirmative.
Hopefully this is a substantial enough force to take out the enemy base.
Affirmative.
They do have multiple Tesla coils, so that's not encouraging.
Ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's take out this Tesla.
Unit
Affirmative.
Unit
Waiting orders. Affirmative.
The concrete walls around them make them harder to deal with.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Affirmative.
And there's another Tesla. Okay, this enemy base is pretty well fortified.
Unit lost.
Vehicle report acknowledged.
Unit ready. Unit lost.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
If this attack force fails, it's really going to suck, because when you attack, you really want it to be a one-hit kill.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
If we can find their construction yard to make the loss of those Teslas permanent, that'll help a lot. Alright, looks like we're just going to have to take out that... Okay, there it is. Everybody attack the construction yard. Although I don't think we're going to get it.
Lost.
No, this is a failed attack for sure.
Unit lost.
I think I've changed my mind about the second war factory.
Unit
Yeah.
lost.
Okay.
Unit ready.
Okay, so the attack force was insufficient. That is real unfortunate. However, we now see a better way to attack. And they're destroying some of their walls for us, so that's good. I think I'll speed it up while we build a second army to attack with. I may want mediums. That may
Yeah.
do better at dealing with their Tesla coils because they're a little more durable. Whoa! Okay, I'm not thrilled with that.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
There we go.
Acknowledged.
Okay, whoa. Battle speed. If the enemy is going to be counterattacking us.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged.
Yeah, for tank battles, lights may be preferable because they're so fast, but for a major assault on an enemy base with Teslas, the mediums may be better.
Reporting. Affirmative.
My guys are still continuing to pull in good
Yes,
money.
sir.
Ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Alright, if the enemy wants to send their forces at us piecemeal, where they're easier to destroy, instead of having to fight them all within the confines of their base, I'm completely in favor of this.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
This is nothing but beneficial.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes,
Actually, we may want to try waging some economic warfare, if we can find where they're harvesting their ore.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Okay, speed things up again. You know what? Maybe I will build a second war factory and another refinery.
Unit ready. Building.
Really crank our production up.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Insufficient funds. Primary building selected.
Okay, let's get another refinery up.
Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Having to deal with the submarines is going to be irritating. Don't know how many there are. I might want to sell this refinery. It's so far away, it's irritating when my guys want to drop off their ore there.
Reporting.
We'll send these guys down on a suicide scouting mission.
Complete.
I'm such a kind commander. There we go.
Building.
Okay, that should speed up our production.
Ready. Building.
Vehicle reporting. Vehicle reporting.
The enemy has not launched any more attacks. Ah, that's where they're harvesting from. Let's engage in some economic warfare.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
We want to be careful not to get within range of that Tesla, though.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Building.
That's a lot of infantry.
Unit ready. Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
What we're going to want to do is punch through here, come up like this, and take out their construction yard. Oh, that's irritating.
Affirmative.
There we go.
Reporting.
Okay, let's slow down to battle speed. And it looks like we can pick off their ore truck now.
Building.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Reporting.
Okay, if we can lure all their defenders out and kill them out here,
Affirmative.
outside range of their defenses, that's going to be easier on us.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Unit
Vehicle
ready.
reporting.
Come on, guys. The pathing in this game is abysmal.
Reporting.
It's
Affirmative.
probably the thing about it that has aged the most poorly.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Well, have they given up? Some of them
Yes, sir.
have.
Affirmative.
Yeah, some of them are going home, which is interesting.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
There
Reporting.
we go. Let's get this other one.
Affirmative.
Building.
Oh, 3 more
Waiting
tanks
orders.
back home.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Okay, let's begin staging for our assault.
Unit ready.
We'll want to attack from here. So,
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
alright, the hind.
Reporting.
Unit
Okay, good enough. Let's move in.
building.
Waiting orders. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes,
Unit
sir.
lost.
Yes, sir.
Alright,
Yes, sir.
we've breached the front of the base.
Waiting orders. Affirmative.
Let's crush the irritants, blow up their refinery. That should cheese them off.
Reporting. Acknowledged.
Unit
Okay, let's get down here, make some more room for ourselves by taking out these power plants.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. Waiting.
Get this power plant next.
building.
Yes, sir.
Oh, they're selling. They're low on money now.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Get this power plant out of our way. Oh, and they're low power. Excellent. Tesla coils offline. Get the construction yard, and this mission is ours.
Unit
I'm
lost.
gonna start saving money now. Good. Alright. Mop up their units and production structures, and it's pretty much good game to us. Oh, come on. Finish that guy off. Ridiculous. Maybe I should focus on the V2s first. They're very much glass cannons. Okay, get this irritating flame turret. Get this war factory. So building a replacement naval yard. Get the V2. Excellent. Alright. Get another flame turret. Then we're going to get the helipad. Good. Okay. Now we'll wipe out the sub-pen. Let's get some more power to make sure Tesla coils stay offline. Let's start building a sub-hunting force. Yeah, I can see that. Thanks, Eva.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Now, I am not a huge fan of the naval warfare in this game. It just looks ridiculous. It's not the way ships move in any way, shape, or form. Now, that's true of the land battles as well, and I don't know why it doesn't bother me as much for tank battles, but for some reason it doesn't. That the movement of the units is just wrong and completely ridiculous.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting orders. No. Yes, sir. No. No.
Silence.
Reporting. Ready and waiting. Affirmative.
Alright, well, fine. Just so we don't have to listen to that, I'll build another couple silos.
Yes, sir. No.
Construction complete. Building.
And let's start the sub-hunt.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
I guess at this point we can probably build a second naval yard, too.
Building. Unit ready.
Yes,
Have
sir.
you guys not killed the sub-pen yet? Good lord.
Building. Construction complete. On hold.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
What is the hotkey for repair? It's not Z.
Building.
It's not R. I'm trying to remember.
Lost. Unit ready.
I'll just hit every key on the keyboard. I'll figure it out eventually. Ah, it was T. That is
Yes, sir.
random. Why on earth is it T?
Primary building selected. Building.
Vehicle affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Vehicle affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Now, there are ways you can sub-hunt very intelligently. You want to approach them at an angle so that their torpedoes aren't hitting you straight on.
Affirmative.
But I'm probably just going to use overwhelming force instead of micro.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully this will be enough destroyers.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Yes, sir.
Now, destroyers, for their cost, are not a bad unit at all. But they're kind of underpowered compared to what you would expect them to be.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Especially after the gunboats in Tiberian Dawn, which have their ridiculously powerful missiles and they're very durable.
Vehicle.
Destroyer missiles are very, very weak by comparison.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
I guess technically we could have tried to squeeze through here, but realistically
Affirmative.
the civilians would just all get killed if you tried to squeeze them through that choke point.
Ready. Building.
Anyway, since I want to rescue everybody,
Unit ready.
I think 3 transports should be enough.
Yes, sir.
Naval unit.
Acknowledged.
Oh, there is another submarine.
Acknowledged.
There we go. It's dead. And alright, let's get our civilians down there. Coast looks clear. Look at that. I mean, it's absurd that it takes that many destroyer missiles to kill a dude. Just seems silly. Go, little civilians. Hopefully there's no enemies in the shroud, or I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Okay.
I figured that was unlikely because
Okay.
they would have attacked us by now.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Alright, we killed all the subs, so this should be a good game to us.
Affirmative.
Civilian evacuation complete. I really like this mission. Like I said, I really enjoy missions that have objectives besides destroy everything.
Yes, sir.
Even though for all intents and purposes you do have to destroy the enemy base to be able to evac the civilians. At least in principle, this is something different.
Waiting orders. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Here come the Chinooks for the evacuation.
Mission accomplished.
Alright, we did it. Good mission. And that completes the tiny little 2-mission Fall of Greece sub-campaign. Well, we see what the Soviets have been doing there. Stavros will not be pleased. Next up, we are back to the main campaign with Allies Mission 5. Hopefully you'll join me for that, and I'll see you then.